Hi. Hey. Hello.
And now, our feature presentation.
It's Sunny, and today's film is peak fiction. Yeah, you ever heard of this banger movie entitled Citizen Kane? At least you must have heard of the name from a joke or reference like, oh, this makes this look like Citizen Kane. Yeah, well, ever wondered not only what is the film, but why the film is so fucking iconic? Well, here we are for today. Let's just cut to the bullshit. Without further ado, let's dive into this discussion and delve into the cinematic genius that is Citizen Kane. Before the very thought of Citizen Kane was birthed, Orson Welles, the man behind the film, was an uprising stage actor and fiction radio presenter in his early 20s by the end of the 1930s. Due to his uprising success, Hollywood was all over Welles, offering multiple deals and exclusive from countless creators and studios ranging from Warner Bros. To David O. Selznick. But the motivation behind his countless declines is due to his love of the world of theater and making his mark there. Welles found himself in financial trouble after the failure of his plays, eventually getting a contract from RKO Pictures that was quite remarkable. He agreed to it with tons of financial support to boot, as well as full creative control over two films of his own. That was quite an unseen thing on the Hollywood scene in this era of history. Welles spent 5 months at RKO testing and working on his first film, Heart of Darkness, previously adapted for the Mercury Theater on the air. The project didn't pan out well, and his relationship with RKO wasn't going smoothly in terms of budget, creativity, and public outlets. Eventually, he came up with the idea for Citizen Kane, working alongside radio screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, and taking the time to really perfect the film to their limits. Getting the project together, eventually the film was completed and became the iconic staple it now is, leaving my job for today, these decades later, to unveil to you why it is so deserving of its cultural status. A lot of modern people and others alike tend to not enjoy older films in terms of black and white era movies, and I understand the disappeal, but for me, I always found it kind of dumb because no matter visuals, which by the way, they look great regardless of color grading, but a ton of these films still hold up and have such powerful stories, which in this case, Citizen Kane is one of those films. The score by Bernard Herrmann is downright iconic, always unfolding the perfect compositions to evoke the right sense of emotions in which every sequence requires to invoke the right mood or tone.
It's gonna look a lot different one of these days. Come on.
Even scenes with the absence or less presence of music always helps build the right sense of tension and mood, as showcased in these moments.
I was on my way to the Western Manhattan warehouse in search of my youth. You see, my mother died a long time ago, and her things were put in storage out west. There wasn't any other place to put them. Thought I'd send for them now, and tonight I was going to take a look at them. You know, a sort of sentimental journey. Hello, Jedediah.
I'm drunk.
Well, if you got drunk to talk to me about Miss Alexander, don't bother.
Cinematographer Greg Tolan perfectly captures the visuals of this story to the very maximum. The camera is always presenting the story to us. I feel so many films can have the idea of just having pretty visuals for the sake of pretty visuals, or the basic camera shots to just be there. But a great film understands that the camera plays probably the biggest role in the story. being the tool that presents the entire story beat for beat through every frame, and this film is a perfect example of this, really enhancing all the details of everything from lighting, framing, and everything in between to really exhale everything. The production design holds up greatly to today's age. The costume and makeup work is so ageless in terms of really showcasing the age of the characters across the film's duration, really seamlessly making us not even question or allow disbelief and transitioning from time to time of seeing these characters at their young and old ages, feeling like the whole film just somehow captured footage of these actors at their various lively ages. The set design as well is so perfect, how seeing the humble beginnings of Charlie Kane make his way up the system into the very grounded and surreal environment to, by the end of the film, the very loud and bigger-than-life atmosphere to behold his rich and glorious manner is so excellent, such as the character writing. Almost every single significant supporting character in this film has just the right amount of importance, if not more than our protagonist Charles Foster Kane himself, which is downright outstanding. So let's analyze. Kane's best friend in the whole wide world, Jedediah Leland, has such a personal connection to Kane, and it's probably one of the most heartbreaking parts of the film, albeit the entire film is fucking depressing.
You know who you ought to see? Mr. Leland. He was Mr. Kane's closest friend. They went to school together.
Harvard, wasn't it?
Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, Switzerland. He was thrown out of a lot of colleges. Mr. Leland never had a nickel. One of those old families where the father is worth 10 million and then one day he shoots himself and it turns out there's nothing but debts. He was with Mr. Kane and me the first day Mr. Kane took over the Enquirer.
Jedediah and Charlie being great friends that have always stuck together, even at the very beginning of where Charlie's career really starts with the Enquirer, and over time, Jedediah knowing Charlie well, he's the first to really notice his gradual change.
Do we stand for the same things the Chronicle stands for, Bernstein?
Certainly not. Listen, Mr. Kane, he'll have them changed to his kind of newspaper men in a week.
There's always a chance, of course, that they'll change Mr. Kane without his knowing it.
Over time, slowly not taking in his shit, when he must do the review for Susan's opera, he decides to utilize that to end it all, being one of the most heartbreaking moments in the film.
Hello, Jedediah.
Hello, Charlie. I didn't know we were speaking.
Sure we're speaking, Jedediah. You're fired.
Then, of course, there's Emily, Kane's first wife. Being the niece of the president of the US at that time, another example as to this film's mastery is how this one scene perfectly exemplifies the relationship without spelling it out, and doing it all through performance and visual.
I'll call Mr. Bernstein, have him put off my appointments until noon. What time is it?
Oh, I don't know. It's late.
It's early.
Do you know how long
The
you kept me
correspondent
waiting
is the
last night
Enquirer.
when you went to the
Sometimes I
newspaper
forget
for
to take
10
your life
minutes?
with flesh and blood.
Oh, Emily, I
Mr.
don't spend that
Bernstein
much time on the
says
newspaper, Emily.
Isn't just
My dear.
incredible trusting your stranger.
What I tell them, you mean Enquirer. What I tell them, you think.
You
know, he's still Uncle John. Well, he's at that. He's living in a high-pressure crooks running.
I always wondered if Charlie ever truly loved her, or was in it for his own gain, or perhaps both, I don't know. But either way, their drastic downfall leads to his relationship with his second wife, Susan. I love this moment because off the line delivery alone, you can tell Charlie at his old age really connects with her by making him feel young all over again.
Gee, you know an awful lot of tricks. You're not a professional magician, are you?
No, I'm not a magician.
Oh, I was just joking.
You really don't know who I am?
Well, you told me your name, Mr. Kane, but I'm awful ignorant, but I guess you caught on to that. You know, I bet it turns out I've heard your name a million times.
You really like me, though, even though you don't know who I am.
Oh, I surely do. You've been
glad you do.
wonderful. Well, gee, without you, I don't know what I'd have done. I had a toothache, and No, I don't know many people.
I know too many people. I guess we're both lonely.
Being so joyous at feeling himself once more, his decision is more sorrowful at this very important moment in the film.
Good night, Mr. Geddes. Are you coming, Charles?
No. I'm staying here. I can fight this all alone.
Charles, if you don't listen to reason, it may be too late.
Too late? For what? For you and this public thief to take the love of the people of this state away from me?
Charlie, you got other things to think about. Your little boy. You don't want him to read about you in the papers.
There's only one person in the world to decide what I'm going to do, and that's me.
You decided what you were going to do, Charles, some time ago.
I'm Charles Foster Kane. I'm no cheap, crooked politician trying to save himself from the consequences of his crimes.
Giving her everything she wants like a dad spoiling her kid, making her achieve her dream of singing, and all these riches and spoils only for her to neglect him and learn of his true intentions, makes her leave him. Generally, every single character, even background extras, has such character in this film, from the minor characters to his parents, associates, and even the public world. Even the way every character stands when being interviewed in the present day says so much, from Jedediah's humble tone, Bernstein's clearness, and Susan's depression, all evoking such emotion. But most of all, Mr. Kane himself is the clear highlight of Orson's performance, but I think it's best to discuss him and the entire story at hand through here. Where do I even begin? This one's heartbreaking. Honestly, every film I've talked about is heartbreaking, but you get the point. This one is just fucking depressing. My fucking goodness. The idea of this trusting memory is great for how every character provided in the story at hand is never always the right vision. I love so much how at first we're introduced to Kane and the overall story through this nicely done exposition montage detailing how much of a corrupted bastard he is, really making us not give a fuck about this guy. But for the rest of the film, to really let us into the real depths of Kane. Bernstein's glamorization and admiration of Kane shows a certain angle of his very humble nature, only to cut to Leland's side of the story, where we see a mix of both. How once he was truly a generous individual, only to over time become a very corrupted person. And ended off with Susan's honesty of his abuse, power, and desperation for love. No matter who's telling the story and who knew him most, eventually Kane will be forgotten due to the flaw of human memory. What really makes this film a masterpiece is the overall theme of interpreting someone's life. No man, woman, or any kind of person is defined by their achievements, but by what drives them, what makes them tick, what makes them go, what gives them a reason to get up in the morning. And as for Charlie Kane, nobody will ever know. Nobody. Except for us, the audience. The whole thing that sets this film going is Kane's dying words. Rosebud. What is Rosebud? Why is it so important to him? Why is that his final word? Across the film, we learn that Charlie wants to accomplish the American dream, being able to have the greatest newspaper outlet, having his honorary friends, being in love, and be one of the world's most recognizable individuals. But though he accomplishes all that, what really happens? He loses his friends, the news works against him, he loses both his wives, and people will forget him. So what or who is really Charlie Foster Kane? To us, the viewers, Charlie is Rosebud. Rosebud, the sled he held as a kid, the last thing he cherished before his parents sent him off to a seemingly better life and better future. Deep down, despite all the power and connections he made across his life, all he really wanted was love. So desperate to love, willing to do anything for that love, to be loved. But in return, when it all came to an end, he was left all alone. All alone. To die on his deathbed. Deep down, Charlie was just an innocent kid who wanted to be loved and never gain it. We know this, but as to the world within the film, they will never know. And that right there is a sad thought. Citizen Kane is a masterwork because it is just so damn perfect. Everything from the outstanding filmmaking, truly incredible cast of both characters and performances, and most of all, the truly heartbreaking, depressing, but important story of both Charlie Foster Kane and the film of Citizen Kane. Despite its old age, it's a film that still holds up and will probably be forever timeless, not because it's iconic or popular in culture, but because it's not afraid to detail the truth behind that we will never truly know, someone's life. That life is such a somber, dark, and rarely joyous occasion. Life and we humans all just wish to have Rosebud, wish to be at peace, but in the end, nobody will ever know our story, and that right there is just the facts. So long, farewell, and goodbye.